Welcome back, digital watch fans, to Vintage Digital Watches. We are going to do something a little bit different in today's episode, and we are going to talk about collectibles that are not vintage digital watches but are from that realm, and they are paper collectibles. And I mean here magazines, books, pamphlets, advertisements, and so on. Basically any print that has to do with digital watches at all. Now, why collect these? Why are they collectibles? Well, we love digital watches for what they are and the era that they represent. And having paperback books and magazines from back then, it makes the act of collecting more vivid. They also bring up a ton of information. There wasn't internet back then, so all that we have about vintage digital watches today is the recollection of people that have experienced that. But books and magazines are actually the internet pages of back then. They also give you a good sense of how digital watches were perceived, because we are living in an era where the digital watch is starting to die off if it hasn't done completely. So it's a good way to reference how the watches were seen by people, what were the trends, what manufacturers wanted to put inside them, and so on. One big aspect of why I like to collect the books is because they give you an idea of what to collect. Sometimes you assume that from the information you have online, after you've seen everything that's being sold out there, any articles, you have the sense that you've already collected everything from a certain series, but you see in a book that there is actually another color scheme or another version of that watch, and you are actually informed that your collection isn't complete. So that's a good source to compare your collection versus what was available back then. Also, besides pictures, it contains text, and I like this because it gives information that you didn't know about, and maybe it confirms information that you already knew or assumed. And let's be frank, they complete your collection, and they are really nice to look at, because usually 80% of the book is pictures, images, beautiful colored images coming from Japan, and the Japanese have their unique style of representing something with a lot of pizzazz, images and text. Now, my collection is composed of 3 general items, and those are advertisements from books, pamphlets, and magazines. And I'm not sure if there are actual books or magazine, or if they're a hybrid, but basically they're this. That and the bigger one. This is what I mean by book, magazine. Now, the advertisements are pages from books or magazines that advertised a certain watch. And I do have one about the Seiko Data 2000 watch, and you can see that there is a colored one where it is advertised with 2 other models of that were sold by Seiko next to a rally car. Now, assumingly the chronographs, the upper 2 were for the rally car, and the lower one isn't actually clear to me what it would have to do with the rally car. But right below you can see that it says setting the standard for the world and for the future. The other book advertisement that I have is an Italian advertisement for the Anadigi series. It says La serie Anadigi crea una nuova dimensione nella misurazione del tempo. And you can see to the left and to the right that you have those well-known Anadigi watches, the Anadigi Tempo on the left. And the reason why I got this is because it has up-centered the voice memo, which is one of my favorite watches. Going on to the pamphlets, I only have one pamphlet, but oh my god, was this hard to get hold of. It is an advertisement for my Grail watch, the Epson RC20. And this isn't ripped from a magazine or something like that. I believe it was distributed somewhere where you also sold the watch. So you have like a quick reference book of what this can do, just to spark your interest. All in Japanese, Very interesting. It shows both models, and I found it on a Japanese blog, emailed the guy, made him an offer, and he accepted, and I got it. Now, going on with the two digital watch books that I have, we're going to go with the Digital Watch picture book. And it is a small book. It is around, 143 pages. Not a large book compared to my hand. It was published in 1997, and the information isn't actually structured in a predictable manner. It's rather grouped by brands and by series, and it starts off with a few iconic models and brands. It explains briefly how watches work, digital watches. It shows exploded diagrams, and it has a fair amount of LED watches as well. And going through the book, we can see that it has a lot of reference to the data banks and G-Shocks. What this book brought new to me is the data bank Mondo style, and I didn't know that there are red, yellow and green colors, so that's why I like books, because they show you models that you didn't know about. Now, going on to my second book, this is the electric watch book, and it even has it written in English at the bottom. This is a bigger book. You can see it's A4 size. It has way over 300 pages. It has a lot of information. The structure of the book is very well put together. Basically, from the title, you can guess how it starts, electric watch. In the beginning, it describes how the watch came to be powered by electricity. And then it goes on to tell you about what a tuning fork is and what were the approaches in the early years. And basically, in the first part, it's only analog watches. And if you are familiar with the Accutron series, then it will be familiar to you. And a big chunk of the book is iconic watches, starting with the year 1956, and it goes all the way up to 1997. And from each year, it showcases some of the iconic models. Trust me, you will find here watches you didn't know existed. It isn't centered around digital watches only. There are a lot of good analog watches, also quartz, these being quartz watches, but it does show the iconic timepieces, electric timepieces from this period. Let's say around 75% digital watches. And it ends with a very nice black, green and white graphics that describe how to set certain digital watches, and from what I can gather, these are iconic watches, and yes, you can use it instead of the watches setting instructions. And right at the last chapter, it does a small description of how a watch battery works, and you have a table with what batteries were used by what watch manufacturers. The images in the book are stunning, and there is a small description next to each watch. Don't be daunted by the fact that it's in Japanese. Even if you don't know Japanese at all, like I do, I don't know a bit of Japanese, it will be useful to you. From all the paper collectibles, this is my very favorite one, probably because it has the most information. And the graphics are very beautiful. I got it for $50 US, including shipping. I'm sure you can find it for less, or I don't know, for more, but I would say that that is a fair price. Now, an important aspect, I did mention that these books are in Japanese, and it's highly likely that whatever watch other than the ones that I presented to you, you can find on the internet, they will also be in Japanese. So how do I read them? It's not okay just to look at the images, you want to benefit from the information as well. Well, I use Google Translate on my phone, and you can install this from the Google Play Store, and it's this application right here in the corner. corner, it's Google Translate on your phone. You can put it in translate picture mode, and what you do is you take a picture of the text that you wanted to translate, and then you can underline it with your finger and it translates it. So what I do in the evening, I sit at my desk with my book and I slowly mine information out of it, and it's a nice way to keep the book interesting for a very long period of time. Yeah, so that's how I technically read them. The phone reads them for me and I read them from the phone. Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel. I try to upload videos as often as possible. For the next video, I'm going to do something that some people have told me that maybe it's not such a good idea, and that is very long video. Basically what I try to do is, well, I bought an Alien Seiko S234, you know, the Seiko pulse meter watch that was used in Aliens, Alien 2, Aliens. And it had a bad LCD. I managed to source an LCD from eBay, and I did a replacement, and since I was there, I also did a cleaning of the watch and band. And until next time, don't forget to read your digital watch books.